Israeli gunships have attacked a flotilla of ships carrying humanitarian aid and international activists to Gaza. Reports say up to 16 people have been killed and dozens injured. Some of the ships are now being towed to the Israeli port city of Ashdod. Well, we can now cross live to our correspondent who is in the region. Hello to you, Paula. So what more can you tell us on the situation there where you are?
We're hearing the same as you. The latest reports suggesting that as many as 16 people have been killed and dozens more injured. From the Israeli side, we're hearing that 10 Israeli soldiers have been injured. One of them is in a critical condition. We don't have any more information at this stage from the Israeli side, as they have imposed a military censorship. And they say that only when the ships are brought here to the Israeli port of Ashdod, where I'm standing, and people have disembarked, will they be releasing statements and giving more information. What we do know at this stage is that emergency services throughout Israel are on standby to receive the injured. Contrary to earlier reports, we now understand that none of the injured have actually arrived at hospitals in Israel, but we do expect that they will any moment soon. Hamas has condemned this action. It says that it is an attack that is state-sponsored. It has called on the international community to react. We're also hearing Hamas calling for protests of rage in solidarity. This is what Ismail Haniyeh, the leader of the movement in Gaza, had to say.
We call on the Secretary-General of the UN, Ban Ki-moon, to shoulder his responsibilities to protect the safety of the solidarity groups on board these ships and to secure their way to Gaza.
Well, the Israeli ambassador in Turkey has also been called to the Turkish Foreign Ministry to explain Israel's position. So a lot of action happening not only here in Israel and Gaza, but around the world.
Well, Paula, let's now talk more about what led to this confrontation and if it could have been avoided. We are hearing that Israel calls the flotilla a provocation. Presumably, that's not how the activists would see it. Tell us more on this.
Well, for the international community, the plight of Gazans, 1.5 million people, 80% of whom are living on the poverty line, is something that is not receiving enough international attention. And so these 6 ships with international activists that include an 85-year-old Holocaust survivor, they include members of the Irish Parliament, an archbishop here from Israel, as well as a Nobel Peace Laureate. They have been intending to bring the world's attention to the plight of Gazans by setting sail with 10,000 tons of humanitarian aid. Now, that aid includes cement, it includes food, clothes, water, all the basic supplies that people elsewhere in the world take for granted, but which people in Gaza have so much difficulty receiving. Israel, however, maintains the opposite. It says that these protesters are merely provoking the situation. We also haven't heard any Israeli confirmation on reports. We're just hearing right now that among the injured is one of the protest organizers, Sheikh Riyad Saleh. He is the head of the Israel Islamic Association Northern Branch. No confirmation on that yet either.
All right, Paul, let's not talk about the consequences of this and specifically the international reaction to what happened this morning. As you just told us earlier, and we're hearing from the reports, Turkey has been one of the first countries where the reaction to this has been palpable. People were throwing stones at the Israeli consulate there. So what more can you tell us on the reaction to this around the world?
Well, as you say, at the Turkish consulate in Istanbul, demonstrators gathered outside the building. They started throwing stones at the building. The Israeli ambassador and other Israeli officials were summoned to the foreign ministry to explain exactly what happened in the early hours of this morning. We're also hearing that protests have broken out in Lebanon. No doubt the international community will heavily criticize what will be seen as a heavy hand by Israel. You need to remember that these protesters, by and large, seemingly were unarmed, although we are hearing that some of them reportedly did have knives on the ship, but certainly the amount of power that Israeli soldiers would have brought with them, Israeli commander units boarding these vessels, would have been far superior to what many of the activists, calling themselves peace activists, themselves would have had to protect themselves. So international community has in the past condemned Israel's blockade on Gaza. Those same representatives of the community are likely to come out now in even stronger words and condemn this latest Israeli action.
Okay, Paul, as we speak, we're now seeing live pictures from Istanbul, confirming what you just said, basically. And our people in Istanbul were throwing stones, have gathered in front of the council. As you can see from the live picture there, they were expressing their indignation of what happened in the morning, throwing stones there at the council. And this is a live picture from Istanbul, Turkey. You're seeing crowds of people gathering there and waving flags there, and support of the people who were on that flotilla that was intercepted by Israeli military forces. Of course, we'll be bringing you more on this as we get it.